Hi, this is Ambi from Board Game Blitz, and today I'm going to show you how to play Haspelknecht. The goal of the game is to get the most points. The game consists of 3 years, each with 3 action phases and a scoring phase. The 3 action phases, spring, summer, and autumn, work similarly. At the beginning of the action phase, every player will take action discs. Then, after player order is determined, players simultaneously plan their actions by placing discs and resources on their player boards. Then the actions are resolved in player order. Right before the spring and autumn phases, each player receives a pit water on their board. Whenever you get pit water, it's placed on the pinch or in the shaft. If your pinch is not exhausted, meaning there is still coal there, then the pit water is placed there. Otherwise, it's placed in the shaft. At the beginning of each action phase, all players return their action discs and the resource boards are refilled. In player order, players take action discs over 2 steps. On your turn, you choose 1 action pool and 1 color and take all the discs of that color in that pool, placing them on your 1 cart. If the pool has a water symbol, you also receive a pit water on your board. After everyone has taken 1 step, the second step happens. If you took fewer than 5 discs, you get to again choose 1 pool and color and take all those discs, up to a maximum of 5 total discs taken, and place them on your 2 cart. You do not get pit water in the second phase. For example, on step 1, red could take all 6 black discs here and also take a pit water. Blue could then take 3 yellow discs here. Since red has 5 or more discs, they don't get a step 2, but blue does. Blue chooses brown here and must take 2 discs since they cannot have more than 5 total for step 2. In the first phase of the first year, if you take less than 5 action discs total, you get to return 1 pit water from your board to the supply. Turn order is determined after everyone has taken discs. Using the values shown here, black is 1, brown is 2, yellow is 3, everyone adds up the points of their action discs in their 1 cart. The player with the lowest value goes first, with the next lowest going next, and so on. If there's a tie, the player who was later in the previous turn order goes first. Next, all players plan their actions. This can be done simultaneously or in player order. To plan actions, place action discs or resources on your workers and buildings on the designated spaces. You start with the farmer, farmhand, and coal digger. The farmer and farmhand can each do 1 type of action per phase, either the resources or the coal action. You can also do a development with the farmer instead of one of his other actions. You can place multiple action discs of the same color on the farmer or farmhand, but not different colors. The only time you can place multiple colors is if you're using the develop action. Everyone plans their actions during a planning phase, and then everyone executes their actions in player order. When executing actions, you can choose the order that your workers and buildings are activated, but each worker completes his actions before the next activates. Most workers and buildings must be prepared during the planning phase, so resources gained in that phase cannot be used to perform actions with those workers and buildings. Development tiles give you points or bonuses during the game. Using the farmer, you can get a development tile once per phase as his action. To do this, when you're planning, put the required action discs for that development on the farmer. The colored discs must match the colored discs on the tile. Any color can be used for a gray disc. You can only get each development once, but multiple players can own each development. When you get a development, place one of your player discs on that development, stacked on top of any other player discs, showing that you own it. You then get the advantage of the development tile, as well as victory points based on the level of the development tile and in what player order you get the development. For example, if I got this level 3 development, since I would be the second player to get it, I would get 2 victory points after getting the bonus of the tile. You can own a maximum of 9 development tiles. There are some rules for the development tiles that you're allowed to get. For the top row, you can always get any development tile. For the later rows, you can get any development tile that is adjacent to a development tile you already own. Alternately, you can get a development tile that is not adjacent if another player owns it, by paying a resource to the player whose disc is on top of that development. For level 2 gray developments, the cost is a coal cube, a wood, or a food. For level 3 green, the cost is a coal cube. For level 4 brown, the cost is a food. To get resources, put 1 or more discs of the same color on the farmer or farmhand. You'll get 1 resource per disc. Yellow gives you food and brown gives you wood, and put them in your farm area. During the summer phase, if the farmer produces at least 1 food, you get a bonus food. To do the coal action, you use 1 or more black discs. The farmer and farmhand can do the coal action in either the pinch or the tunnel locations, but each worker can only do the action in 1 location per phase. In order to take coal, the mining area needs to be available and unhindered by pit water. At the beginning of the game, you can only get coal from the pinch. You need fewer than 2 water in the pinch to get coal. With the coal action, you can either remove 1 or 2 pit water from the pinch, or get 1 coal block. You take coal from left to right, 1 cube per disc, and place it in your farm area. If there is an empty wood symbol to the left of the next coal, you cannot take coal until there's a wood token there. You can place wood from your farm area onto the wood symbols of the pinch at any time. Once all the coal from the pinch is gone, then the pinch is exhausted. You get 2 victory points if this happens during the first year, and 1 point if it happens in the second year. When the pinch is exhausted, the pit water moves to the shaft. The coal miner and Haspelknecht tile goes on the player board, and you can get coal from the tunnel and shaft. Now you can place wood from your farm area to the wood symbols in the tunnel at any time, and you need fewer than 5 water in the shaft to get coal. The coal mining action can no longer remove pit water. Only the Haspelknecht can do that. The coal mining action gets 1 coal cube from the tunnel, similar to taking it from the pinge, except it goes to the shaft instead of your farm area. Getting the coal from the shaft to your farm area requires an action from the Haspelknecht. If the farmer and farmhand both produce the same resources or both do the coal action, then you get a synergy bonus, one more of the same action from the last worker. For example, if I used yellow action discs on both the farmer and farmhand, got 2 food from the farmer and another food from the farmhand, I would get a 4th bonus food from the farmhand because of the synergy. The coal digger, coal miner, and Haspelknecht workers can each only be activated once per phase. The coal digger costs 1 yellow disc, 1 food, or 1 coin during the planning phase, and he performs 2 actions. If there is more than 1 pit water in the pinge, he removes 2 pit water per action. If there's less than 2 pit water in the pinge, he excavates 1 coal cube per action. When the pinge is exhausted, the coal digger is replaced by the coal miner and the Haspelknecht. The coal miner costs 1 food or 1 coin, and his action is excavating up to 3 coal cubes from the tunnel to the shaft, only if there's less than 5 water in the shaft. The Haspelknecht is the only worker that can remove water from the shaft. He costs 1 yellow disc, 1 food, or 1 coin, and he performs up to 3 actions. For an action, the Haspelknecht can either remove 2 pit water from the shaft or move 1 coal from the shaft to the farm area. You need fewer than 2 pit water in the shaft in order to move the coal to the farm area. At the end of each year, you score victory points based on the coal on your farm. 2 points for 3 cubes, plus 1 point for each extra cube. Then you pay the cost for the year. 2 food in year 1, 2 food and a coin in year 2, and 1 food and 2 coins in year 3. You must pay the cost if you can, and you take a debt chit for each commodity you cannot pay. You can store a single resource, food, wood, or coal, in your farm area, and you get a point if you store 1 wood. Developments can give you more storage and points. Then you return any resources that were not stored in your buildings, and a new year starts. At the end of the 3rd year, the game ends. At the end of the game, you get 1 to 3 points for each empty section of your tunnel, indicated by the player board. You also get bonus points for development tiles you own. Also, if you have development tiles with building symbols, you'll get additional points. 1 point for 1 symbol, 3 points for 2 symbols, 6 points for 3 symbols, and 10 points for 4 symbols. You get 1 point for each unused action marker you have. You get 2 points if you have 1 coin left, 5 if you have 2, 9 if you have 3, and 14 points if you have 4 coins. If you have more than 4 coins left, you get 6 points per each additional. You lose points for debt chits and pit water. If you have 1 debt chit, you lose 1 point, and you lose 2 points for each additional debt chit. If you have more than 1 pit water, lose points equal to the number of pit water minus 1. The player with the most points wins. The tiebreaker is the player who removed the most coal from the board, and then the player who is first in player order. And that's how you play Haspelknecht. Click the link for setup and development tile explanation. Check out our website for more videos, podcasts, and blogs. Thanks for watching Board Game Blitz!